Yeah, there we go. That was the IMF, and just in case, moi, earlier on shows. Right, let's talk about India, talk earnings here. Allcargo, one of the largest publicly owned logistics companies in India, of course, reporting, well, quite a dismal set of numbers here. Key takeaways for you on my right. Quite a drop in profits. And just about every single financial metric, not all, but just about the major ones, everything from revenue to EBITDA, down, and you certainly have weakness across some of the key markets like U.S. and Germany contributing to that drop in profits year on year. Let's bring in the Chief Strategy Officer of the group. Joining us now to talk us through the numbers and maybe what lies ahead is Ravi, Jakhar, Chief Strategy Officer at Allcargo Group. Sir, thank you so much for joining us, and good morning. I was hoping to get straight to it.
Good morning.
90% drop in profits. What happened, sir?
Yeah, so I think it would be more important to look at the sequential performance for quarter on quarter. As you know, a year ago, the situation was different. The global trade has changed dramatically since then, and the trade volumes have been significantly down. So there has been a performance decline over the last few quarters. But if you look at the previous quarter and this quarter, the performance has bottomed out. And on the EBITDA side for the international business, you would notice there's been a sequential about 8 to 10% improvement. On the overall consolidated basis, driven by marginal decline on the Gati side, the EBITDA has been more or less flat. So from here on, we expect the performance to improve on the back of cost restructuring, which is more immediate, near term, and should show impact in the quarter of April to June. Beyond that, we also foresee global trade reviving on the back of inflation easing, Fed rates, and the interest rates coming down. All of that should lead to a revival in the consumer demand, and therefore the global trade should also revive in the second half of 2024, which is July to December. And that's where we believe our business should also look up, both in terms of volumes as well as utilizations. And that has a direct impact on profitability. So I would say that this has been a quarter which has been more or less flat over the last previous quarter. And from here on, we expect things to improve on the company's financial performance.
Right. Suffice to say, and let's let the headline come from you. Is the worst behind us?
Absolutely. Like I said, the previous quarter and this quarter has been bottoming out of the financial performance. And now from here on, we look upwards.
And I understand we're in the midst of the current quarter, so I'm not sure if you can just give us more details on or specific numbers. But how are you tracking this quarter compared to last so far?
So, like I mentioned, our business is closely linked to the global trade, and we see a revival happening in the second half, and therefore that's where we see a significant change in performance. Until then, the macroeconomic environment would not lead to any changes. However, we have been also doing a lot of cost rationalization. We have been looking at significant outsourcing from high-cost countries to low-cost countries. We have also worked on a lot of automation and digitization, which has helped us bring down the personnel cost as well. So some of those initiatives would start showing impact from April onwards. And the reason I say April onwards is because there are some termination clauses, and rather January to March quarter would also see some amount of severance costs coming into play as we terminate some of the positions on the back of digital initiatives. So therefore, Jan to March quarter, I would say from an economic demand perspective, we don't see any significant changes. The trade demand remains subdued. However, from April onwards, we should see profits improve on the back of cost rationalization. And then from July onwards, we expect the revival in trade leading to improved volumes and enhanced profitabilities at the gross margin level. That's what our expectation is.
Understood. If you could, since you brought it up, could you give us a sense of how many jobs are about to go then?
So we have looked at approximately, I would say, somewhere in the range of about 150 to 200 jobs which have been either outsourced from high-cost countries to low-cost countries because it makes pragmatic business sense. And we've also looked at some bit of automation coming in. And there's been a bit of restructuring as well at the management level, which allows us to be more efficient and also more cost-conscious.
That takes us into the restructuring or the demerger, if I could attach a verb to this. Just take us to the logic of creating these 4 listed companies.
Yeah, so over the last 3 decades, Allcargo has got into several logistics businesses, and traditionally they were all housed in one single listed entity. 3 years ago, we set out on a path for transformation, which meant that we wanted to restructure our businesses to make them strategically independent, provide them the financial flexibility that they required. And in line with that, we started the restructuring program. These businesses have always been managed by independent business teams, and last year, we demerged our real estate business, which is linked to logistics, but is very different from other asset-light businesses. We also demerged our CFS ICD business, where we are the largest CFS operator in India, and that business now stands as Allcargo Terminals. What remains behind today in Allcargo Logistics are two businesses: our international supply chain business, which we operate as AQ Worldwide, and our domestic express and contract logistics business. Now, these two businesses are quite different from each other. The international business is catering to freight forwarders and works on the global trade, while on the domestic side, we see significant synergies in our contract logistics business, which is about warehousing, and the express distribution, and it's the same set of customers looking at fulfillment logistics. Historically, because of multiple partners and multiple stakeholders, the corporate structure was quite complicated, with businesses lying in different step-down subsidiaries and multiple listed entities as well. So what we have done by way of restructuring is we have made everything very simple. The international supply chain business will demerge and list separately as Allcargo AQ. No other businesses in that. That business already has an independent management team, like I said, and would have its own independent board of directors. The other two businesses, which have significant synergies, now this restructuring would do two things. One, it would allow those businesses to come together and drive synergies, both at the customer side as well as on the organization side, as you could rationalize management structures and drive faster growth. The second thing it does is it eliminates all the inefficiencies from a holding structure perspective. There were multiple step-down subsidiaries. Now all of them would collapse into Allcargo Logistics. The outcome of this would be Allcargo Logistics, which would have the domestic express and contract logistics business, no holding subsidiaries. So it's a great structure and provides the independence to both businesses.
Ravi, thank you so much for clarifying all of that, and of course just unpacking for us what I would imagine is a very complex process there, of course, of this demerger, and just underscoring the logic there as well. Ravi, Jakhar, thank you so much, sir. Allcargo Group, on the back of their earnings, things are about to get better from here. Markets in India open up.